Welcome to Who Wants to Be an Entrepreneur with Nancy Gaskins, where we teach everyday people how to create, fund, and live a life worth smiling about. I believe one of the best ways to do that is by becoming an entrepreneur. My name is Nancy Gaskins, and I'm your host. All our shows are recorded and archived so you can listen and learn online all year long, 24/7. You can find us on all your favorite social media channels like Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, and of course, all your favorite podcast platforms. There's never been a better time than now to consider owning and operating your own business. The current COVID crisis has really opened up a lot of people's eyes to just how vulnerable they are to have to only rely on one stream of income. Home-based business opportunities and multiple streams of incomes, those are two very hot topics that people are looking for. These are options. People are looking for options. And this is the place where you can learn all about some of those options. I'm doing something a little bit different this fall. I'm teaming up with a wide variety of everyday entrepreneurs from around the world. We'll be discussing their entrepreneurial journeys, the good, the bad, and the ugly. These are real people just like you and I, who've agreed to share their stories in hopes of inspiring you and encouraging you to follow your heart and become an entrepreneur. Today's guest, we are going to meet Miss Andrea Accinelli. I met Andrea at one of the virtual marketplaces, and what a delight she is. So we're so happy to have you here, Andrea.
Thank you so much, Nancy. I'm happy to be here.
So here's a little bit about Andrea. Andrea lives a charmed life in Unionville, Ontario, Canada. She's the mother of 2 teenagers and 3 cats and has a lovely husband. The kids keep her busy, but she still has time to pursue business opportunities, especially helping others live their best life through the gift of Isagenix. Helping others manage their weight loss journey and earn an extra income at the same time are her business passions. Andrea attended Wilfrid Laurier University in Waterloo, Ontario. She was very happy to publish a book of short stories for young adults in 2007. She enjoys running crazy Spartan races. I'm sure we'll hear about that a little bit later on. She has completed 2 Spartan trifectas and multiple other mud races. She can also be found at fitness, kickboxing, lifting weights at the local gym. Andrea is an energetic, devoted business coach. Welcome to the show, Andrea.
Thank you so much.
So, take a few minutes, share your story. How in the world did you become an entrepreneur, and how did you currently get into this business?
Well, it's a bit of a story. I was a stay-at-home mother, as many people are, and my kids were getting to the age where they were both going to be at school full-time. So I was thinking to myself, what am I going to do? Because I don't want to go back to the 9 to 5. I worked in human resources before that, and it was fine, but it was a lot of paperwork, and it was a bit of a grind. So I was dragged to a jewelry party one night, and it turned out that I wanted every single piece of jewelry in the catalog. So the only way to do that is to actually join the company, unless you're a Rockefeller, which I'm not. So I joined the jewelry company, and it was really, I loved working with this particular company. I loved doing the parties. I did a lot of parties. I was in the top 1% of that company, and that just meant doing a lot of parties. So it was, I think it was October, and November and October are very busy months in the jewelry business because of Christmas approaching. So I stepped on the scale one day, and I noticed that I couldn't believe it. I was 8 pounds away from my heaviest pregnancy weight, and that was a bit of a shock to me. So I went to my friend down the street, who happens to be a Canadian fitness champion, and she's written a few books on health and wellness, so I know she knows what she's talking about. And she got me on this 30-day cleanse with Isagenix. And I wasn't really intending on doing the business because I already had a business and I was pretty busy with it. But people noticed that I had lost weight, and they also noticed that I was, one of my friends described it this way. She said, you're skipping down the street. What are you doing? What has changed? So all of a sudden I had this Isagenix business in my lap, which, you know, it doesn't happen that way for everybody, but it did for me. And I took a look at the compensation plan and realized, wow, this is something that I can do. And, you know, when it comes down to it, it doesn't matter how much jewelry you have if you don't have your health. So I prioritized that in my mind as well, that this was a little more important. You know, both of my parents died young because of health issues, and I have always been terrified of that happening to me and happening to people that I care about. So this seemed to me to be a way that I can help avoid that. There's no guarantees in life, of course, but that is how I got started with Isagenix. And it just gets better and better all the time.
Well, I loved you had some really terrific before and after pictures that I saw on your Facebook page, and that it quite a, transformation. And, you know, sometimes we don't even realize when those pounds are creeping up. I know my husband retired in 2011, and we was living in our 42-foot fifth wheel while we were waiting to find a house and clothes for our permanent location. Mm-hmm. And it didn't take long, and neither one of us had been overweight. You know, he'd been in the military doing PT every single day, and I'd always been thin. But let me tell you what, we both morphed up, and before you know it, I mean, we had like 30 extra pounds on us. It was crazy. It just, and you just wake up one day and you look and you see a picture and you're like, holy cow, you know.
And that before that day that I stepped on the scale and was 8 pounds away from the heaviest pregnancy weight, I knew deep down that there was something happening to me, but I didn't want to admit it. I was in total denial. So it had to be seeing that number on the scale. And some people need a doctor to tell them,
yes,
you know, if you don't lose 30 pounds, you're going to be dead.
Right. Wow. So tell us a little bit about your business. What is it that you do? What kind of products and services that you offer? And then after that, we'll talk a little bit about the company specifically.
Okay. So what I generally do is I introduce people to Isagenix, and I do this, really all I do is I make them aware of the products and the company, and I set up an account for them. When they are doing a 30-day cleanse, I can coach them through that. Now, not everybody wants to be coached. Some people want me to hold their hand every day. Some people want me to leave them alone, and most people are somewhere in between that. And as for the products, we have over 70 products. The main product, though, the benchmark product is the Isoline Shake. And the Isoline Shake is low glycemic, nutrient dense, low calorie. So you can get a huge meal in one shake with only 240 calories. And when you're doing that, that's when you're being fed properly. I didn't realize myself that I had never been fed properly until this. So there's the shakes, and then we have something called Isagenix Supreme. Isagenix Supreme is a cortisol balancer. So when you are stressed out, your cortisol level shoots up. And when that happens, you're storing fat. And that's something that we want to avoid. So this keeps your cortisol level low, which makes it less likely that you're going to store fat due to stress. And everybody knows there's stress in everybody's life, whether it's emotional, physical, financial stress, like everybody has it. So that's a good product. The other thing is Cleanse for Life. So Cleanse for Life is a nutrient-dense drink that we have on days when we are engaging in intermittent fasting. So intermittent fasting is not a new idea. It's been around for a while. A lot of people are getting on this bandwagon of intermittent fasting these days, but Isagenix has been doing it for almost 20 years. So what we have is nutritionally supported intermittent fasting. So you are not starving yourself. You are actually getting all the nutrients that your body needs in a day from Cleanse for Life. And you are also allowed to have little treats like chocolate. We have chocolate that's low glycemic and it's delicious. We have protein chips. So if you want to have, if it depends on, you know, some people are a salty person, some people are a sweet person. So it makes this intermittent fasting a lot easier and a lot more fun. So that is how, those are the main products. With me coaching someone and through their weight loss journey, that can look like a whole bunch of different things. We have weekly calls. They're from the corporate side, and we also have ones for our own team. And I like to keep in touch with people, especially in the first couple of weeks, because it can be hard to make a lifestyle change. It doesn't matter what it is. It can be hard to make that change. And some people just really need help and encouragement. And I'm available to talk someone down if it's 10 p.m. and they want to have a pizza. I'm available to say, okay, do you really want a pizza? Are you really hungry? Or are you just bored? That's a big thing at 10 o'clock at night.
Yes.
Maybe you just should go to bed.
Yes. Well, let's back up for just a minute, because
Okay.
you said a word back there that kind of freaks people out, and sometimes they don't really understand what it is. What do you mean by cleanse?
Cleanse. Okay. So a lot of people will hear the word cleanse. You're right. They will hear the word cleanse and they think it's a poopy cleanse. They think it's going to be strapped to the toilet all day long, and that is not what this is. This is a cellular cleanse. So imagine you are any person in this world and you are eating food, you are drinking water, you are breathing air. And with all of those things that we all do, you're taking in toxins. It happens to everybody. It's just the world we live in. So what the cleanse does is the toxins are hiding in your fat cells. The fat that is around your organs, the visceral fat that's around your organs, is deadly. And the reason why it's deadly is because it's choking your organs and it won't allow them to function as well as they could be. The other thing is that that's where the toxins hide. So when you are cleansing on a cellular level, you're getting the toxins out of your body and the fat goes with it. And it's amazing. And not only are you losing weight, you're feeling great because your body is actually cleaning. It's like taking a shower from the inside.
What a great description. Thank you. I think everybody probably is smiling a sigh of relief right now.
Probably, yeah.
So who could benefit from these products? Is there an age group? Is it men? Is it women? Who you looking for?
Well, for me, I mean, my ideal client is probably someone who's something like me, just because I'm able to relate to them, they're able to relate to me. So that would be probably a perimenopause, menopause or postmenopause woman. The products can be used by anybody. The shakes in particular are age 2+. So anybody can benefit from the nutrition. I would say anybody who has some weight to lose would really, and it doesn't have to be a vast amount. If you want to lose 10 pounds, this would be a great way to do it. And it's so sustainable that it's great for almost anybody. But it is something that you can do and keep the weight off. So it's not even just meant for someone who's trying to get into a bridesmaid's dress, for example. You can use it for that, but you don't have to. You can expect to keep the weight off.
One of the things that some people think about here, once you're off of it, let's say you've lost your weight, do you have like the sustainable products, or this is a lifestyle change, so you just continue on? Or tell us a little bit about that,
Okay.
after the after effect.
So what happened with me, and for most people, is that we end up on a maintenance plan. So depending on who you are and what your goals are, you're on the cleanse for, it's hard to say without knowing someone's goals how long they would be on it. But for example, for me, I was on it for 2 months, and then I went on to maintenance. So maintenance, well, first, okay, I'll back up for a second. The cleanse is 2 shakes per day, and then 1 day a week of the intermittent fasting. What I do now is I have 1 shake per day at breakfast, which, is very doable because it's easy, it's convenient, it's fast. So what could be better than that in the mornings? And then I do a cleanse day whenever my body tells me to. And what I mean by that is if I am feeling tired, if I'm feeling stressed out, if I'm feeling like I've put on any sort of weight, or if I've had a wild weekend of eating, I can do I can do a cleanse day, and it instantly makes you feel better. So that's maintenance. And once it's not a jail sentence. Isagenix is not a jail sentence. I encourage people, even during their initial month, if they are at a birthday party and they want to have some of the cake, have the cake. If you're at a wedding and you're going to eat the meal. If it's Thanksgiving, eat the meal. It's not meant to be this rigid, strict diet. It's meant to be something that can be sustainable. So, I go with the 80-20. 80% of the time I follow this plan. 20% of the time I will do whatever I want. So it's good. I find it very maintainable.
So how has your life changed? Obviously, you've got all of this energy. You're have lost weight. You're feeling good. You're loving your results. What else can you tell us how your life has changed?
Well, my life has changed in a lot of ways. Before I was exhausted. I was addicted to Red Bull, which I don't recommend to anybody. I don't drink coffee, so I drank Red Bull. I have not had a Red Bull since November of 2012. So that's one thing that has changed. The energy was actually more important to me than the weight loss. And it was not something that I expected. I went into it for weight loss, lost 25 pounds, was feeling really good, but I could not believe the energy that I had. And I had never had it before. I hear a lot of people say, oh, I feel like I'm a teenager again. I feel like I'm in my 20s again. And that wasn't the way it was for me. I have never had this energy. So it had to go somewhere. It has to. So at the beginning, I was doing things like cleaning out closets at 10 o'clock at night. But now, actually, I was scrolling on Facebook one day and I came across something called the Spartan Race. So here's where you get the details of the Spartan Race.
Yes.
The Spartan Race is a mud obstacle course race. So imagine running up mountains, very muddy mountains. They have they're usually a ski hill. And the machine that makes the snow in the winter actually just shoots out water in the summer. And so they make these hills very muddy. So you're doing obstacles. So it's things like a rope. It's things like walls, climbing over walls. And sometimes someone like me is a little too short to get over a wall. So you have to make temporary friends to throw you over a wall, stuff like that. It's really fun. There's obstacles like there was these fields of mud that you had to crawl underneath, and there's barbed wire. So you have to do it. Otherwise you're not going to do it. There's fire pits that you have to jump over. There's any number of, there's a spear throw. The spear throw was actually very difficult. And I actually did the first time I did a Spartan race, and then I never did it again. I was never able to do it again. So doing these races, I came across this and I thought, oh, that looks fun. But I had never done anything like that before. And it became just something I really wanted to do. So I got a friend, her name is Julie. Julie was also on Isagenix, and she lost about 35 pounds. And she decided to do the Spartan Race with me. And we did the whole thing. We trained for it for weeks ahead of time. We were in amazing shape. We did it with the help of the Isagenix sports performance products. There's something called the E-Shot. The E-Shot gives you energy. E is for energy. There's a gel that marathon runners use. We used that. We carried bars with us for sustenance on the way. But we did it, and then I went on to do, I think it was 8 more after that, including the trifecta. So the trifecta for the Spartan Race is 3 races in the same season, and they progressively get harder. So the first one's about 7 kilometers. I don't know. I don't know what that would be in miles. 7 kilometers, but you get the idea. 7 kilometers for the first one. Then the next one is probably about 15. And then the final one is about 25. So I did 3 of those in one season, and it was difficult, but it was amazing, and I finished it, and I'm happy. So
Wow,
those
that
are
is
things that change.
amazing.
But like there's smaller things that have changed too that don't require running up hills and things. You know, I used to look at a staircase and think, oh, how am I going to get up this staircase? And now I'm doing it 2 steps at a time.
I've got some friends that I hadn't thought about it before because, you know, I didn't have a weight issue, but like if they wanted to go to Disney World or, you know, an amusement park or even just going walking like here at our harbor, I mean, they have a terrible, terrible time. And those are little things that, you know, we take for granted sometimes and we don't realize. I know just when I lost my weight, I couldn't believe the difference I felt.
Oh yeah.
You know,
Everything
your energy and all of that.
I found almost everything to just be easier. Just bring the groceries in from the car to the house, so much easier. And now I've actually got some muscles, so it doesn't seem like anything to me.
Right, right. So you love the products, okay? They worked for you.
Yep.
So tell me a little bit about the company. What are the core values? Why do you love this company so much?
So as I said before, I was in the jewelry company before, and it was great. But when I compare the two, and I don't, want to compare too much, but there's all these companies have a national conference every year. And when I compare the two, the jewelry ladies were all very, politely clapping when everything would happen. I don't know how to describe the energy in a room of Isagenix people. It is insanity. It's controlled insanity, and it is so much fun. They've got their own music. They've got lights and display, and there's 16,000 people there. In Las Vegas, for example, last year it was in Nashville, and it was in the Nashville Predators hockey stadium. And I mean,
yeah,
it was just incredible. But the core values are really important. And I mean, there's 12 of them, so I won't go through all of them in detail, but I mean, obviously one of them is health. We make healthcare products, so obviously that's going to be a core value. One of the next one is freedom. And I think what they mean by freedom is financial freedom and freedom from physical pain. Because if you've got weight issues, I mean, even just a little bit of weight loss makes you feel so good, but just like you said, even if you lose 5 pounds, that's medically significant. So there's freedom from financial pain and physical pain. Innovation, they are always they're always one step ahead of the industry as a whole. So that's really cool. They've just come up with some new shakes that are just so delicious. I just can't even believe it. But they're with I could talk about their vitamins for a long time, which I won't do. But they are on the cutting edge of anti-aging and that sort of thing. Integrity, which is the most important thing to me. It's doing what they say they're going to do, but also the integrity of the products. They are no compromise. They will always use the best available ingredients.
I didn't ask you ahead of time, and you may not know this number. Do you know how long Isagenix has been around? How long they've been in business?
2003. So it's 18 years.
Okay, so they've been around the block a time or two, and they're not going anywhere, obviously, because if you can make it after those first couple of years, you have to be a rock star in order to do that, because a lot of direct sales companies do not make it past that. So let's get down in the trenches a little bit, and let's talk about entrepreneurship and talk about your journey here. What are some tips and advice that you would give somebody that's interested in becoming an entrepreneur?
Well, I would say you have to find something that you love. That's the most important thing, because if you don't love it, you won't care about it and you won't develop a passion for it. So you have to do that. But the other thing is that you have to find a mentor that has something like what you want and try to emulate them as much as possible. You don't have to do every single thing that they do, because you don't want to be a clone of somebody else. But if you can find someone who has what you want and try to figure out your own path that sort of goes with their path, I think you're much more likely to have success.
What is something that you know now that you wished you'd known back then? If you had to do it all over again, what would you do differently?
Well, I would find people that didn't waste my time. There's always a lot of people who do a lot of talking and very little action, which you've probably seen yourself, Nancy. There's a lot of that out there, and you have to find a way to qualify them. And the way that I have done it so far, it took me some time to learn this, but I will ask someone on a scale of 1 to 10, how serious are you about whatever they, like if they're just looking for weight loss or something, I will ask them a scale of 1 to 10, how ready are you to make this change? And if it's about business, how ready are you to take this on? And if they give me an 8 or above, then I'm happy. If they're not going to, if they're saying 4 or 5, then, you know, I know that they're just looking for, they're tire kicking at that point.
Yes.
And that doesn't mean that I'm not going to have a conversation with them, but I'm not going to spend too much time with that person because they're not ready yet anyway. Right. And the other thing is that you have to be coachable. And if someone is not coachable, if they think they already know it all and they've never done this before, maybe they have some innate talent that I don't know about, but it's unlikely.
Yes. Oh boy, I run across that quite a bit also. We've got all these experts and, you know, they still don't understand. As a matter of fact, somebody asked me the other day, what happens if? I said, it doesn't matter till your dying days. There's always going to be somebody that you can learn something from. You're either growing or you're dying. That's it. So you're never going to know it all, you know, never.
What's that thing that they say is, if you're the smartest person in the room, you should find another room.
Yes. I just had that conversation with my son. As a matter of fact, 2 weeks ago, we were kind of laughing and chuckling about that because he said, I'm kind of liking being in this room. I said, oh no, son, that's dangerous. That's not the room you want to be in. I said, revel in it for a week, but guess what? You need a bigger room.
Yes, you do.
Okay. So do you have any special offers or anything that you'd like to offer our listeners today?
Sure. If anyone is ready to get started on this journey of Isagenix with me, I am willing to give you some free membership. So the membership is not necessary if you're just using the products, but if you want to start an amazing business and have potential for financial freedom, I will pay your membership.
Wow.
There you go.
There you go. We'll put your links and all those things in here for them. And I love that little tagline that you said the other day. You want to share that with them about your waistline and your bank accounts? I think that's brilliant.
I would love to help you have a smaller waistline and a larger bank account.
Love that. Well, thank you, Andrea, for coming in and sharing your Isagenix journey as well as your entrepreneurial success story with us. And look forward to staying in contact with you and learning more about where you're going to go on this journey. So folks, you can join us next time as we begin to explore a little bit further into the wonderful world of entrepreneurship. We offer tips and advice on how to build a sustainable business model that can fund the life of your dreams. For those of you who may already be in business, we'll help you discover some more creative ways to grow your business. Tune in to learn how to avoid some of the most common pitfalls, and we'll be answering some of your most pressing entrepreneurial questions. You can text those questions in to me at 850-499-7149. That's 850-499-7149, and we'll answer some of them on an upcoming show. You've been listening to Who Wants to Be an Entrepreneur with Nancy Gaskins, where we teach everyday people how to create, fund, and live a life worth smiling and talking about. We just happen to believe the best way to do that is by becoming an entrepreneur. So see you next time. Thanks again, Andrea.
Thank you, Nancy.